first thing that thanks, Kate. This is the first thing that teachers tried out for randomly calling kids from the classroom. So I'm going to pull out a name from a list. Sorry, that's a blank one. That one, that's not going to do much good. And the first name to come out, oh God, why am I calling all the blanks? Here is first name out of the list. Because I'm a one-handed wonder, I can't do the class tools one. And you can see that mirrored. Who is that, Dermot? As Dermot Walsh, unmute yourself, Dermot. And as far as I know, Dermot's look, Dermot, you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. So I suppose, bit of context, I'm a teaching principal in a small school in County Mayo, and we've been exploring how to use AI for enhancing teaching and learning. I'm sure as a lot of people have. One of the ways we found of using it, which has enhanced engagement and children's interest, I suppose, in lessons, is through presenting them with dilemmas. So I'm sure some of you are familiar, or you can remember those old books you used to take out of the library, and you would have a story, and then as you got to a certain page in the story, you would be presented with a dilemma where you might have to choose to go on to page 42 or go on to page 46 or 47 or whatever it was, depending on your choice. Kids love it, they're really enjoying it. So I've put one together here tonight, and I've taken the liberty of adding all of your first names into it. So if you would all like to join me, I'm sure I can share a screen. I can, fantastic. Okay, if we share it there. So can you all see a screen there in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, so this is ChatGPT, and it is going to give us. Okay, this should start. Okay, let's start and see where we are. Can you all see that, or do you want me to read it out?
I can see it.
You can see it, okay. And so we have to find some way of getting everybody to vote either A or B to make a decision on where we're going. So the doors of the EdTech lab slide open with a soft hiss. Dermot leads the team inside. Kate, Mags, Helen, John Heffernan, John Hegarty, Lawrence, Paul, Francis, Gubnett, Sinead, Donald, Kira and Julianne follow, their footsteps echoing in the metallic corridor. A huge holographic screen flickers to life above them, displaying the message AI story engine booting. Suddenly, the lights dim and a low rumble vibrates beneath the floor. The AI system announces unidentified anomaly detected in the simulation wing. So do you A, approach the simulation wing to investigate the anomaly, or B, activate the AI story engine first to see what triggered the alert? I guess if people put it into the chat, would that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you want to go A or B? There's the chat. A, B, A, B, B, B. Okay, that looks like B to me. Okay.
Room full of teachers, Dermot.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So Dermot taps the console and the AI story engine hums to life, projecting swirling lines of code into the air. Francis and Gubnett lean closer as the hologram sharpens, revealing a pulsing red error node labeled EduCore glitch narrative overload. Suddenly, snippets of half-formed stories flash around the room. Dragons doing math homework, robots practicing Guelga, and a futuristic classroom floating in space. Julianne yelps as one story fragment bursts into a shower of pixelated sparks. The AI voice declares, "Warning, story fragments escaping containment." So do you A, try to stabilize the story engine manually, or B, send a small team, Lawrence, Kira and Donal, into the simulation wing to track the escaped fragments? All right, okay, this time we seem to be going A, is that fair enough? Okay, let's go. Dermot, Kate, and Mags rush to the control panel as the story engine pulses wildly, its holographic strands whipping like digital vines. Helen and Paul steady the interface while Sinead reads out rapidly changing code. Narrative pathways collapsing, recomposition required. Warning, AI imagination surge at 214%. With a deep breath, Dermot initiates a manual stabilization sequence, and the room shudders as the runaway story fragments begin to slow. But suddenly, a virtual doorway tears open in midair, revealing a flickering scene of a futuristic classroom filled with floating textbooks. The AI voice crackles, stabilization incomplete. A decision is required to prevent story world bleed through. Do you A, merge the fragmented stories into one unified narrative, or B, delete the unstable fragments and rebuild the story engine from scratch? We have got A's again. Okay.
No censorship.
So Dermot presses merge, and instantly the room fills with a swirl of light as dragons, robots, space classrooms, floating textbooks, and Guelga speaking androids fuse into one wild, cohesive storyline. Frances laughs as a tiny robot dragon hybrid flaps past her ear, while Kira dodges a hovering dictionary that insists on correcting her pronunciation. The merged narrative stabilizes into a single projected world, a floating futuristic school drifting through space and powered by a giant AI brain called Lordon, learning oriented, responsive data and narrative. But then the AI brain sputters and says, error, core pedagogical directive missing. A glowing interface appears in front of the team. Do you A, upload the Irish primary curriculum to guide Lordon's teaching, or B, let Lordon generate its own experimental curriculum to see what happens? I want to know what a robot dragon is, and I might want one. Very good. Okay, yeah. Okay, it looks like we've got bees there. How are we doing on time, mate? Are we?
You have a minute or so.
Okay, so look, you can see there. Okay, so obviously it'll run through the story and all that type of thing. Now, in a classroom situation, you can imagine with groups of kids, maybe junior, senior infants, or even the older classes, they love being part of the story. They love getting to choose the plot, choose the setting, kind of talk about character development. And then one of the nice things at the end of it is if you ask it to generate a comprehension based on the story they've gone through, with some questions based on your inference or your recall, and then get them to do that, they have some lived experience of the story itself. So I suppose it's just opening up different channels of maybe some form of experience, and then it nicely aligns with the new primary language curriculum as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Fantastic, Dermot. Gosh.
Stop share. You go.
Okay. Just any quick questions for Dermot on that? It's blowing my
Great
mind.
fun.
Grateful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, John Hegarty knows that there's a touch of murder bot about all of that, the mayhem and the chaos. And do they think deeply, Dermot? Are they kind of shooting from the hip like us, or did the argument start?
Oh yeah. So a bit of both. Like it depends on the class. Like we do say last year around Christmas time, the kids had to save Christmas, and so they got involved in whatever, and they were in a town, and things happened, and then they had to make choices, and they'll get into some kind of a debate. But you can extend it then, particularly with the older classes, because you can start to give them dilemmas based around the SPHE program. So where a friend suggests to do something and you're trying to make a decision, is this a good decision or a bad decision? Is this a healthy friendship or an unhealthy friendship? So, you can really open up those channels, Max.
Okay, and I see actually, Dermot, there's questions popping into the chat. If I pull out the next person, will you fire answers at people? And as we go through the night, folks, will you put your links and any other materials that you have to offer into the chat as well? It's really valuable for us to have afterwards. Right. Well, thanks, Dermot. I love that. I love it. As someone who's, strangely worried about AI, I like that. I like that loony way of chaosing it. Okay, so here we go again, and I'm going in. See, I don't want to look at the names. Here we go to my random name. So Paul, the very Paul, Behan, Nuacht on NCCA, Paul, please.
Thanks, Max. I'll just share the screen now. Yeah, great. Hopefully that's people can see that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
just
yes.
yeah. Okay. So will I just go ahead, Max? Yeah.
Oh, fire
Yeah.
on.
Cool. Okay. So I'm just in the curriculum online here in the transition year supports, and I've put the link into the chat. And as part of the new transition year program statement, there's these new kind of TY curriculum components called micromodules. And at last year's TeachMeet, I was flagging that we were looking along with CS Link at an exploring AI micromodule, and so we actually it's ready to go, and we just actually put it up. And we said we just kind of wait till today to kind of just to say it, that it's there. So finally, after kind of like working with CS Link, and kind of it's actually a CS Link external module now. You can see it there, Exploring AI by CS Link, and it's developed in collaboration with NCCA, and we commissioned to do a good bit of the work. And people who are familiar with the CS Link modules will know the quality of it. And as I said, at last year's TeachMeet, we flagged it, and then CESI very kindly as well. A few people on this call kind of helped to have input into it and to kind of give us some direction as to where it might go, and which was great and was invaluable. And look, these things happen slowly, so it's actually ready now. So if you were to go into this, the link is in the chat, into this kind of exploring AI, you'll see that there's a kind of template for the micro module. It's the same template across all of them. So I just, rather than going through it all and kind of boring people, I'll just go down and say just a couple of things with regard to the aims. So it's there for everybody. Anybody can use it. It's intended to be 20. It's designed for 20 hours of kind of teaching, but it's designed to be flexible. So it's looking at students learn some fundamental concepts, interacting with generative AI and large language models, and then becoming informed of the strengths and limitations and the ethics of using AI. So that's really what the focus is. However, we kind of designed it in mind with the fact that some teachers might be comfortable with the technical aspects. So there's a thing in there called the teachable machine. Some people might be familiar with it or not, and you can actually train it and create biased machines or try to train bias out of it, etc. So it's great fun. And the confusion matrix, all that tech aspects can be left out, reducing the amount of time. So it's designed to be flexible for a teacher who might be comfortable with the tech aspect, but might want to explore the kind of ethics and the strengths and limitations, and then learn about maybe prompting and prompt engineering and what makes a good prompt and that type of thing. So it's designed that way. So if a teacher wants to kind of take it for across the whole year, they can. If they want to do it for 10 classes, they can. And the resources are all residing on CS Link. So all of that with regard to the time allocation is kind of explained in this module. You can see there the time allocation is explained fully in it. There's a set of learning outcomes for the students to achieve. Again, that's kind of like, if you leave out the technical aspects, then those learning outcomes obviously don't necessarily apply. And the resources are divided up into about 7 topics. So it's what is AI, beyond the human algorithm, a teachable machine, data, large language models, our futures, and then coursework. And each of them comes equipped with kind of PowerPoint modules and activities for the students, and then activities for the teacher, which are kind of more, which have kind of extra information and some sample ways of approaching the activities as well. So it's like all CS Link kind of resources and courses. It's very well resourced, and anyone familiar with it will know where to get it. So as you're going to go through it, then it's kind of like it just links in what happens in the course to this spec and tells you all the things and all the activities that the students can do. But if you want to get into the meat of it, then down below, then there's the resources. And so if that was something you thought would be good for your class, or you knew someone, the resource there is on CS Link. And so if we just click on this, then it should, yeah. So what you can do is if you are on CS Link already, you can go into it and you'll have the Exploring AI module there and the resources to go with it. If you're not, you can register and you can just sign up to join CS Link, and you'll have Exploring AI along with all the other modules available to you to use in the classroom. All the resources then, the PowerPoints, are completely adaptable and flexible and open for editing to use as you see fit. But the micromodule specification is there to kind of guide you through a particular version of the course. So I think that's pretty much it, Bags. Rather than going into too much detail and showing the platform, people can log on there to CS Link if they wish, and they can mess around with it. It's very, very user friendly, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cheers, Paul. That's just what we need. It's just that, you know, the pointer, the reminder, the source, the link to go through it. Sarah Jane calls it the little spragu of you know, inspiration to know where to go. Thanks a million. If it's safe for Larry, Cuffe, Larry, are you still there, or have you been abducted by aliens? Because you said you're going to literally evaporate at 8 o'clock. Do you want to shout us in your roving report?
Yep.
Thanks. Okay, folks, Larry is on the road. Larry attended with others last week at the department update, and he said he'd give us a summary of what he found out.
Right. This image seems profoundly... Okay, you've got an image of me now. Can you hear me?
I can. Well, I can.
Okay. The webinar was last Friday with the department. James Hickey introduced Maurice Boland, the principal officer of the Digital Policy for Schools section. And what he was talking about was the newly published AI guidance for schools. Okay. Before I go into the details on this, what I found most welcome about it was the tone of the whole webinar, which was very much open, trusting of teachers, supportive and not prescriptive. So I think that was the major message of coming out of it. Okay. The purpose of the AI guidance for school was to support understanding, confidence and ethical use of AI. He flagged that there's a lot of resources on the OIDA AI hub, and I've had to look at that. There's good stuff there. In the webinar, he produced kind of 3 artifacts or constructs or approaches. The first approach was the 4P approach, which is looking at AI from the viewpoint of purpose, policy, planning, and practice. What's the purpose of your use of AI? How it plays into your existing policies? What your practice is actually going to be, and what's your planning around it? While we're talking about policy, he talked about a school AI policy and said they really weren't that keen on that, but they preferred you to look at your existing policies and update them in the light of AI and its present and so on. Examples of purpose would be for lesson planning, resource creation, tailored resources, formative assessment, i.e. unpacking the learning objectives and turning them into learning intentions. So learning intentions appear to be the new buzzword we have to use now that we've moved past learning objectives and MIMLOs and all of that. The teacher checks for the accuracy and the pedagogical intent of anything that comes out. OIDA is really good. It's got really good infographics, lessons through the AI hub on there. The next framework was considerations when thinking about AI in schools. 1, ethical data. If you're gathering data, are you doing it ethically? Is the model based on ethically gathered data? 2, evidence for the impact. It's an open question as to whether AI is having positive impacts on learning and so on. They referenced research on that from Galway. 3, the accuracy of the output. We all run into that. AI tends to generalize. it told me Jerry Adams' real voice was not used in broadcasts in the 80s so as to reduce the risk to himself. 4, policies and guidelines. If you're deploying AI, look at your policies and guidelines. And 5, look at the biases and think critically. There are AI evening courses in all the educational centres, and direct bespoke support is available to individual schools. And then the third framework produced was the RAISE framework for prompting, which is look at the role, look at what you're asking, be specific, and experiment. I asked, I think it was Gemini, to create a religion for me. And it was quite good. I asked it to explore the role of prophet and give me guidance. Okay. Finally, he talked about different approaches. Estonia has furnished 20,000 licenses for free to 15 to 18-year-olds. Denmark has stepped back from devices, considers them a distraction, and back to pen and paper. He also said schools may need funding on this. And then in questions, Nigel Sennan asked a question, and the response was that they were not recommending specific tools at this point, but they were open to suggest to if schools really needed that or teachers really wanted that. John Heffernan mentioned that the Everest is assessment, and that question was referred to the acceptable use guidelines issued by the State Exams Commission. And the final thing he mentioned is there's a webinar at 11 o'clock tomorrow talking about the department's AI journey. So that was about what I got out of the webinar. Any questions?
Well, thanks, Larry, for bringing it in one way or the other. It was great that we had quite a representation there, and if maybe later on you might send us again your little AI summary of it.
Yeah, I actually took that summary and then I asked it to turn it into a slide point, a PowerPoint slide presentation. And it produced a slide presentation, but the slide presentation was so far from my experience that it was rubbish in, rubbish out.
Actually,
but I put together
very good
a
question.
document from to fire that off.
Very good question in the chat from Shane. Are you more or less confused about it all now?
Look, I've spent the past 2 weeks working on a task force exploring the use of AI in education. I'm stepping back from that now. But I found the webinar interesting insofar as it showed the openness of the department to experimentation and rolling your own. I think that was the real message out of it, apart from, yeah, they support, yeah, the resources out there, that kind of stuff.
I think it's fair to say they are, you know, the general openness is becoming aware to us all. And I think the introduction of computer science, that whole role just changed the way we are being informed and asked for our information. So thanks a million, Larry. And look, be careful on the road, please, dear.
Thank you very much.
No, it's not our very first. It's not our very first one from a car, but I think it's our first presentation from a car in the dark. So be very careful,
Right.
Brother Cuffe, in your new religion. All right, okay. I'm going to change from the randomness to just because I know the next thing we're going to have is unplugged. Nitin, you are going to bring us something. Are you going to challenge us? Are you going to make us work?
Yes,
Okay.
not too much of work, but yes, with the adoption of AI now becoming an important discourse. So what we are trying to adopt is a lot of unplugged activities with AI becoming a part and parcel of the computer science subject as well going forward. So the way that we have started approaching is that we are trying to build in ethics into every concept that we are trying to build for CS as well. So I'm just want to, take you through one of the we try to adopt, wherein we make ethics as the core of the entire concept, and everything else is around it in terms of computer sciences. okay, as well as problem solving. So, before I start, I'm gonna just share my screen, okay, and just a minute. Yeah.
So just before you start knitting, STEM Metaverse is you. Yeah?
Yes, it is me. Yes. Yeah, it's me. It's just that I today logged in through the Zoom. I thought that the Zoom got logged in with my Steppenwolf's account. Okay, so a short story to start with. Yes, this is a story that most of us would have heard about the two stubborn goats. Yes, trying to cover a bridge from the opposite sides, and both of them are stubborn enough and are equal enough, all respects, whether it is the strength, and both of them try to
Sorry, Nitin,
pass. Just hold
up
that
for a
okay, I
minute.
want to pass first. Why don't you stop the other side? Let me pass. And the other one is they try to struggle a bit.
Nitin, hang on a
Yes.
second. Hang on. Stop. You're breaking up in the audio
Yeah.
since we started sharing. I'm not sure how all this works, but if the rest of us go, I'll go
Sure,
mute.
sure, sure. Yeah.
Do you think that will help? All you
there you go. I was gonna
Okay.
say,
all you Zoomy
still
people.
showing your email for a second there, but now it's changing. Just give it a
So
second.
should I can stop sharing as well. I have no worries if
No, see now I see the activity.
I'm just cutting all mine.
So maybe if you just knock off your video.
I mean I can stop sharing and still discuss. No issues.
No,
No issues with that. Should I stop? Okay, let me. Yeah, sure. Yes.
take your time. That might help. You never know.
Does that help?
Yeah, I can hear you and I can see everything. Yeah, try work away.
Okay. So I mean it's visible for everyone else.
Yep, visible, audible, go for it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So yes. So just a short story that I'm just today. Yeah, just a short story that I'm sharing today about two stubborn goats. Both kind of are loggerheads, and they don't let the other pass. Okay, okay, you should stop the other side. Let me pass through first, and then so on and so forth. And they keep struggling. Actually, after a lot of struggle, when they realize that it's not going to work, one of them kind of decides to sit down, and the other passes. And then the other one also passes on the other side. Now, this was something that, I'm just trying to put a very brief scenario about operators that we talk about computer sciences. So when we are trying to introduce the concept of operators or comparison or relational operators and logical operators, this is something that we kind of discuss that if it's like, if one goat is sitting and the other is walking or the other. So we are introducing the concept of operators in this, wherein the and the or operators are also plugged in as an unplugged scenario here, wherein the statements are being built up in order to create that equality. Further down, what we introduce the second is about equality when we're talking about AI. Okay, that's the second activity that we kind of flow through, wherein we divide the class into two parts. One with an access to a chat GPT or a Gemini. Okay, any activity we can pick up, let's say talking about a story built or something. One group has an access to tech, the other group does not have an access to tech. Okay, and they're given the same amount of time to build up the activity. Let's say if they are build up a story or they're building up anything, and then the results are kind of compared between one with a tech on hand, the brainstorming that they did with tech, and the other without the tech. Okay, and then the comparisons are presented to the other in terms of how quality currently with someone sitting, let's say, in a rural school compared to someone with a school which has enough things on hand in terms of their subscriptions and other things, how that kind of right now is also going to add to the lesson of equality as well. So this all is happening when the concept of operators is actually in the background in terms of computer sciences that we are trying to build in. And then there is on the same concept, to drill in, we also have an unplugged activity. When I talk about, let me just share another activity. Is the screen visible for? I have a PowerPoint presentation with some input and output. Is that visible? Okay, so that's another activity that we have really is seen that it kind of adds a very good engagement with the students, wherein this is done in pairs. There is an input and an output. So they toss a coin or something. They decide, one of the person decides, okay, he's going to start with an input. The input is filled with a Boolean 1 or 0. Okay, then the time is recorded. How much time does it take for him to go from input to the output? All this while the other person does not know how he's arriving at the output. Once he arrives at the output is given to the other student, and he has to go back to produce the input. Okay, so this is done in pairs, and then the time is recorded. So, the and the or, in terms of, let's say if he starts with a 1 0 1 0 1 1, and then the arrows are kind of plugging into the next level and the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. So all these are kind of, we are also building in, the discussions and important discourse about equality, about comparison operators, about the ethics part of it, as well as we are also drilling in the concept wherein we're talking about a logical operator or a comparison operator with an equal to or a not equal to, and the and or the or. So I've just tried to kind of, briefly try and put that, yes, ethics need not be those last couple of chapters of an entire computer science book. This, I think, is especially when AI is being adopted at a very, very broad level for students right at the primary as well as secondary, somewhere or the other, even at the at the project levels as well. That also needs to have ethics as its core when we are looking at the project work. Somewhere the rubrics needs to capture some percentage points for their work being judged on ethics as well. And until we start kind of putting this focus on the students, this discussion would not become a part of their professional life going further. So I thought, this is something that I thought that I'll share, that these are a few things that we have adopted, especially with teaching the AI as well, that they need to become an important discourse as well. So the age group, normally these are 12 to 12 years onwards, so 12 to 17. Although we do have activities that we built in for the primary school as well, wherein a little bit more focus on the story part and the story building, ethical stories are built into the entire process as well. The seniors would include the concept of, different concepts, the computer science concepts would be built in for them. Sorry, Max, I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
I'm on mute. And what I'm saying is,
Sorry.
I love the idea that we need to introduce our students to dilemmas and choices and
Yes, because
dealing with
what we
dealing with
feel is that we
ethics.
have so much of good culture and ethical tales available with us, which we have kind of forgotten in terms of discussing it at an education level as well. I think they also need to become a part, and that will also add to our culture. They would add, help them to add roots into their what they are learning as well. Otherwise, there's no other way or no other approach that we can actually have these discussions. Uh,
Fantastic. So thank you so much. Thank you, Nitin. I have learned. I have learned. Okay, next on the pulling agenda, what's coming out? Kate, Mammy, the boss. Where are you?
I'm here, and how did you know I was working on my slides?
You've got 3 minutes.
Because I don't.
We do family hold back here.
How did you know I was trying to? My slides were bothering me because I had all of 30 seconds to do them. So 2 seconds. Because I know we're in nice informal company, but I didn't want to be caught off guard. But that's all right. It'll do. So yeah, I'm not here to share any interesting practice. I'm here to share that I'm perhaps brave enough or silly enough to keep organizing conferences. I'm not sure which. So this is a shameless plug for two conferences, but in particular, CESICon 2026. We're back. If anyone was there last year, and my colleagues can back me up here. The beautiful new Gael Closh Limni in Limerick. We're Saturday, the 28th of February, and I've opened the call. That QR code should work, and if it doesn't, even though I've tested it, you can go to cesi.ie, and our website is under construction, but you can get all the conference information on the front page. So we've opened the call for proposals through the 19th of December, and as usual, we're flexible and open to ideas. I think for anyone that's been to the conference before or just attended the conference, we're open to kind of longer form sessions or more creative sessions. We certainly want to see some hands-on work, and we're continuing our what we've kind of unofficially called a 5-year plan in terms of adopting navigating digital futures as our theme. So I believe this is now navigating digital futures 3.0 for our 2026 conference. But that came from some interesting kind of work we did at looking at our brand and looking where things are going. And in this landscape with the Gen AI advancements and the way things are changing in the classroom that everyone up to this point has been talking about, that's why we wanted to keep things kind of fluid and in flux, and looking at those advancements and also looking at like what we just covered around unplugged activities and ethical and critical thinking and all of that kind of thing. But enough about that, because what we are pleased to announce is our keynote speaker. So if you haven't come across Elaine Burke before, Mags and I were privileged to see a Gosta talk she delivered back in February at a symposium, Education After the Algorithm at DCU. She is a journalist and a broadcaster, and she hosts a really good podcast called For Tech's Sake. And if you find that podcast on Acast, there's a great description of that she's putting herself out there in the critical space. And I believe I'm paraphrasing the tagline, but it's something to the effect of, we have some critical conversations. And if we have to throw a bit of shade at tech bros, they also do that too, herself and her co-host. So you can see some links there. And she was also, I think Mags had to tip me off because I clearly don't watch too much television, but I do like a podcast that she was on prime time last week.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a link to that. Actually, I'll put it into the chat when we're done. And Lane is just really cool and critical speaker, and we're really delighted to have her with us for the coming year. And then there's one other conference, because apparently there aren't enough conferences. With my higher ed hat on, as opposed to CESI chair hat on, I am co-chairing our partner organizations conference, the Irish Learning Technology Association in DCU in next June, so the 3rd and 4th, on the St. Patrick's campus. And I'm partnering with Rob Lowney from the Teaching Enhancement Unit there in DCU. And Rob and I have worked together on a national project for a couple of years before, and we were really excited to partner with the new president of ILTA Eamon Costello. So CESI has a memorandum of agreement with ILTA, and we try to support each other's events. ILTA is a little bit more geared towards a higher education budget, if you get what I mean, but it's certainly worth attending if you haven't considered it before. And we have yet to really produce any CESI-Con promo materials yet this year, but Eamon Costello, the president of ILTA, is really good for this kind of thing. So I don't know if the sound will play. Maybe I haven't shared it. But he's been getting himself geared up with funky music to create lots and lots of visuals selling the DCs.
That has froze, Kate?
Sorry?
Or is that just me it's frozen for?
It's all right. It's no big deal. I'll put things into the chat. So EdTech and there's actually some great speakers there as well that some folks might be following. People like Ben Williamson from Edinburgh, and you can have a look at the website for some there. And I think what we will share in common is we'll both have Gasta talks. So that might be something that if you've never presented before at CESI-Con or at this, that you might consider a 5-minute lightning talk, and you can come practice at a CESI TeachMeet in between. Wink, wink. Right, Mags?
Yeah, no, that just tossed me out. I've been out to Satellite Land and back in since we started. As soon as you played Eamon's movie, I was tossed out.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So while I was tossed, are you sorry?
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, sorry to be rude. As I was tossed out, I pulled the name out of the hat. The next name out of the hat. The one hat, not Kate, 2 hats. Frances O'Donnell, you're on.
Perfect. Thank you. 7 minutes. Here we go. Hi, everyone. I am Frances O'Donnell. So some people may not know me. I'm originally a primary school teacher who lived in New Zealand for 10 years. And I returned home and worked training special needs assistants with the ATBs. And now I work in higher education with Kate as an instructional designer. So what I'm hopefully going to show you today, if my computer plays ball, which has which is just frozen with there we go. I spend a lot of time as but just in education and exploring AI. And I'm working on a doctorate now too in AI and education. And what I found is loads of people spend time, a bit like what Laurie said, creating things in AI, and then you don't use them. He made a PowerPoint, but it wasn't what he wanted. It was the information he put, but it wasn't what he got out. So I'm trying to find those small wins. So the tool I'm going to show you today is called Lumen 5. And Lumen 5, I think, because of its flexibility in terms of what you can do with it after AI helps you out, gives it a good few ticks for me. So I'm going to show you how it works. And I've taken the idea of old PowerPoint presentations, right? Because we all have old PowerPoint presentations, but we want to engage our students a bit more, but time is always really short. Lumen 5 I'm finding is really great because I'll run through a couple of steps and then I'll show you this one. But it's really easy to use. It's create the video. You can choose from a range of templates, and this is the free version. You can get more on a paid version. So let's, for this purpose, we'll take something like this. You can change the color schemes. If you had the paid version, you can actually put your own branded colors up there. I'm going to choose this template. By the way, I'm from Donegal and I talk really fast. So if I'm talking too fast, Mags or Kate, you need to tell me to slow down.
No, we're listening really fast.
Okay, so my options are an AI voiceover or the text or the avatar. My preferred option is to get just my text. It gives me a little bit of background music and then I would voice over that option. And I feel like that gives that personal element. It's updating the PowerPoint that I already had. It's my content, then it's my voice. So I'm going to do that, although I do have an example of that one for you too. I will upload my document. You can also paste in text or the usual, the URL, if you want to, or AI can create it from scratch. But I'm going to take a PowerPoint and pop it up. The free version, you can only have it for, in terms of text, 1,200 words, I think, or characters. So in this case, it's about 10 to 15 slides that I have. It pulls them in. It's going to take the images that I already had in my PowerPoint, which I also quite like. It can add its own versions in there too. It has the text that I have, and at the bottom, I can use my text exactly as I have it, or I can get it to kind of update my text if I want to. So I'm going to do compose script. I find it still keeps the script very tight to what I had in there, but I could also choose to have the exact wording, which I love. And not a lot of the AIs are giving you that capability. And now at the end of this, it's good. It's working quite well here in terms of speed. I can change this, move these around if I want. I'm going to click generate the video. Simple as that. It's going to create the video. It's going quite fast. I'm quite happy at the moment. I might be able to show this version. One of the best things that I like about this, now that it's created this, I can change the text. I can change the images. I can change the speed of each slide. A lot of the AIs that we're getting to create stuff for us doesn't give us that much flexibility. So if Larry had put his content in here, was happy with some of it, but not all of it, he can change it. So I'm not going to change anything at the moment. Okay. I'm just going to go. It didn't look like this before. I'm just going to go preview for you. I'm wondering if I'm sharing the sound. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah. No. You can hear you.
But yeah, don't worry about the sound. You can change the sound too, but it's got some nice background music. It's got the text that I was talking about. It's my information. It can pose the questions that I want. If I go back out of here, they come out really well. I have a couple more examples that I can show you. All of this is editable. And if I right click this, I can actually get suggestions from AI, or I can pull from the videos or anything else over here. And I can change those and make those the way that I want them. And then I can publish it. Really quick way of updating your PowerPoints. Yeah, I'm impressed. That's, yeah, the flexibility that I have and the speed in which it's creating it and taking my old resources is what I'm sharing today. So that is, yeah, that's the main rundown. Any questions? What are we thinking?
Well, no, yeah, question. These were the photographs now in the finished one were all photographs you had already.
It does a mix, but I could change them all. So I think that one was mine. It'll do a mix. It adds in some extra ones. The pictures that it is adding in, I'm quite happy with as well. So it's not like, it's not really AI obvious in your hand. Shane, I see you have your hand up. This was my image. This was my image. This was their image. This was their image. Which you know, some of the AI videos they create and you're like, can't even look at that. That is just, it doesn't relate to my content. In this case, I threw that one in accidentally. That was my image. Yeah.
Okay. And like the images it's bringing in, does it bring in any provenance, or are they commons, or where are they from?
Yeah, so they are Creative Commons, but they also have stock image that if you use the paid version mags, it will pull in from their resource too. So they're connected to iStock, but if you don't have the paid version and they use an iStock, you'll get like their watermark on it. Make sense?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just wondering for, I wouldn't be using it, but I'm looking at if I was showing other people, you know, showing students, just to get them to understand where the pictures are coming from.
Yes.
I tell you one thing, Francis, if it can keep up with you, it's pretty good.
And if I'm impressed by it. Shane, go.
Yeah, no, I just wondered, it seems like it's as fast and as versatile as something like Chalky.ai, but it's got huge capacity for change and evaluation and editing and stuff like that. So even though it's upgraded your stuff with, say, for today's class, it still gives you that freedom to do it again.
100%. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. This is why I'm like, when I found this one, I've written a blog post recently and I've compared it with Notebook LM. So I'm looking for resources that we can save time in terms of teachers and educators who have resources that we already have. Notebook LM will do it. It'll give you a visual and it'll give you a little video if you want to have a look at that and you haven't already. But it's going to be the same type all the time and you can't edit it when it's creating it or after. In this one, I can edit it before, I can edit it in the preview, and I can edit it after publication. It's still here and I can still change it. So yes.
Super stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good woman Kate has put a link to that blog post in the chat as we speak. I tell you, you can't keep up with CESI women. There's no doubt. Francis, thanks a million. That's just super. Right, folks, I have a 1, a 2, and a 3 in my hand. And the first person to put 1, 2, or 3 into the chat, I will take their choice. 2. So John Heffernan says 2, and that is you, Chris Reina. You're next.
I will unmute myself then. So
Do.
excellent, yeah. And I don't know if I should do anything or not. I'm feeling very untechnical today. In the way that I have nothing technical to show you whatsoever. I am going to go so old school, and it will be of surprise to nobody that I'm going to use cardboard. But so I'm just going to start. I'm going to fire away. I see. Yeah. For the people that know me, yeah. It's of no surprise, really, is it? Yeah. So, yeah, I will start. So bear with me for 1 second. So I am just on the back of Science Week, as is everybody else. And so for Science Week this year, it just the way things happened and the way they turned out, quite a lot of people wanted the same thing, even though I was pushing towards other stuff. And that same thing is a thing that we call spinners, or the original name was whirligigs. So very quickly, as quickly as I possibly can, I'm sorry, I meant to hit start in my own timer there, so there's a story behind this. So I'm going to show you how they're made first. You don't have to follow along. You're going to get it. If you want a PDF, I'll send you a PDF. If you want whatever, they're really simple. You can Google it. You'll find it. So I'm going to jump over here. I don't need to share my screen because I have my another camera set up. So this is everything I need. This is my somewhat clean desk. Yes, this is a clean desk. So this is a spinner right here. These are ones that we made. I will hold it up there. You can see it. It's a bit of cardboard. So it is a circle of cardboard. That's it. Okay. After that, I have a couple of bits of paper. In this particular one I held up, we had stickers for these because these were all day long events. So we had no time to color things in and cut stuff out. So we just had to put stickers on things to make it much easier. So I have a little bit of cardboard. I have a disc. I have a tools here. You can use an awl for leather work. You can use anything you want. I have a scribe. There's scribes in schools. Something sharp. Do not poke yourself. I'm going to poke 2 holes in it. 1 hole there and 1 hole here. That's it. I have somewhere, I have a bit of string. Oh, yes, sir. Messy desk. So I have a bit of string and I'm going to put it through each hole and hopefully bring it out the other side. So the reason behind this project, number 1, it's a lot of fun. That's about it. But number 2, there is a group of scientists in Stanford University called Frugal Science, and their remit is to make scientific equipment that is very cheap to produce, highly professional, and doesn't necessarily require power. Okay, it doesn't necessarily require power. So, as you can see, I'm just tying a knot in my string here. If I can get this done in 7 minutes, I'll be very impressed. That's okay. Mags will give out to me anyway. So that's done. So all I have done, if you can see that, is I have put a bit of string through a bit of cardboard. Okay. If this works, which I expect that it will, all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of wind it up a little bit first. Doesn't need to be very much. And I'm going to start to pull it in and out. And then if I turn it a little bit, you will see that that's spinning pretty fast. And if I stop talking and I can do this, then well, I hit my own mic there. You will hear that sound. So back to my story of the group of scientists in Stanford University. What they did is they, as I say, try to make scientific equipment that is cheap and useful for everybody. So they found this toy, and yet Mags is saying, yes, I remember that, as do many people, well, of my age anyway, would remember that. And they found this toy back in the turn of the century, before plastic was invented, and when they only had things like wood and steel and cardboard to mess about with. They found this toy, they measured it. So a centrifuge is in every medical lab in the world. A centrifuge, as probably most of you know, if you've ever had blood taken, is you take your blood, comes into a little blood vial, sent off to the lab puts it in the centrifuge, they hit the button, the centrifuge spins extremely fast, somewhere about 7,500, 10,000 RPM, separates out the blood and the plasma so that they can just test the blood. And they get a much better result by just testing the blood. So the scientists in Stanford found this toy. They were trying to replicate something for a centrifuge. And they said, you know what, let's make a demo model exactly like I have in my hand here. And let's test and see how fast it is. They tested it only to discover that it was between 50 and 100,000 RPM. This piece of cardboard in my hand, this one right here, I know because I have the laser measuring tool that when I do this and I get this sound, that is going between 50 and 100,000 RPM. So the scientists in Stanford University obviously did not use cardboard ones. They replicated it. They can 3D print them or laser cut them. And they can make them for less than €1 with a spot to put the little blood vial in. They can pop 10 of them into an envelope, send them around the world to anybody. And if you're in a place such as the, let's just say the bush in Australia, the plains in Africa, they can send them to GPs there who quite literally can put that in their own med kit with a testing kit. And when they're out in a place that has no power, they can take someone's blood, test the sample right there. And they will know whether they have a particular disease, malaria or whatever, because all they do is they pop the blood in here, they spin this for 1.5 minutes. That's it. 1.5 minutes is all they need. And they can separate the blood and the plasma. They have their testing kit. They test it there. And then they know right there. So that is the project that I set. I would quickly show you. So that's the project. That's it. So we did these in Science Week. That's all it is. As I said, it's a bit of cardboard. It's a bit of string. It costs literally nothing to do, nothing to make. And yeah, there's a story behind it, and kids need to be of a certain age. If they're, junior, senior infants, then it's just a fun toy to make, and you should leave it at that. But like anywhere from 4th, 5th, 6th class upwards, it becomes an incredible thing. It is, in my opinion, and I do genuinely get a little bit emotional every single time I tell the story. You can talk, I know, about things that are life-changing. Oh, it changed my life. Something like that. Simplicity can literally save someone's life. So that's how I will finish that.
Thank you, Chris.
That's
And
all.
you know how I feel about concrete operational learning. It's
I do.
just, you can't.
That's my timer. Good.
Yeah, I know Paul Newton's in the background. Paul probably knows it from physics. It's
Sure,
unbelievable.
of course. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Paul has seen this many times before.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks a million.
More than welcome.
Right, two speakers left, and okay, again with the chat, 1 or 3. First one I see 1. Okay, number 1 is John. B-Brass, please, John. Nano presentation.
Good evening. Okay, I'm going to share a screen. I've stuck a Google document in there, which you can have a look at. Okay, so now I need to get mine onto the right page. So all I'm doing is letting people have a quick look at Debris, the way it is enacted in the classroom. So if you look at the Google document that I put into the chat, you can see this can be done as an offline or an unplugged activity as well. It can also, the unplugged activity you can do in groups, whereas the Bebrus challenge itself online is really an individual thing. So online, you log in, you'll get different age groups. So if you have students registered for a particular age group, they'll just see their one. You'll see here, as I scroll down, there are a number of challenges going back a few years, and they can be done as practice sessions. So I'm going to stay in the 24-25. I'm going to go to third and fourth year, or third and fourth primary class. And this is what you see. I'll zoom in on that a little bit. You get 15 questions. They're in 3 categories, A, B, C, which is easy, medium, and hard. Okay. Now, depending on your students, they might find them all hard, or they might find them all easy. But this is what it looks like. Students can click on any question, and they don't have to do them in order. They work on that one, give an answer, and once they've submitted an answer, they can come back and they can change the answer. Okay. So they work away. In the real one, when it's running, there's a little clock up at the top right-hand corner, counting down 45 minutes. If they get logged off or if the computer crashes, they can just hop onto another computer, their session continues, and they can log back in and the clock will continue counting down. Okay. Once the time is up, that's it, they're logged out. In the real one, you don't get any feedback while you're doing it. In the practice sessions, like I'm looking at here, you will get some feedback if you give an answer. So we'll look at 3 questions, an easy, medium, and hard. This is an easy one. I'm going to zoom in there again a little bit. So Ali is in the forest. On her way, she sees these things. So first she sees red and yellow flowers. Then she sees an apple tree, or saw an apple tree. And lastly, she saw a bird's nest in the tree. Okay. Then down here, you get a bigger graphic, and we have 4 paths, A, B, C, and D. And on the way, you have the combination of different things. So if I look at A, we're seeing red and yellow flowers, we're seeing the apple tree, we're not seeing the bird. On B, we have, and that's actually not on my screen because there's too many things. Let me get out of the way. Okay, so I'm seeing the red and yellow flowers, the apple tree, and the bird. In C, I'm seeing the bird first, and then an apple tree, and then the red and yellow flowers. And here we're starting with blue flowers. So you have the process of elimination, and you figure out which is the right one, and put in your answer. So I'm going to say B, and I'm going to save. Now, in the practice session, it'll tell you up here, answer correct. If you get it wrong, and you can just erase and have another go. So I'm flying about here a little bit, but if I put in C and save button, it'll just tell me I got the answer wrong. Okay, so this is it as the Bedros Challenge online. If you have the Google document, you can just, and the Google document that I shared in there, it just has a screenshot of this. And if you have that printed out and you give it to, say, a group of 3 students and tell them to discuss and figure out what's the right answer, the conversations can be pretty good. Okay, going to go down to a different one here. Actually, I'll just scroll through them. And, oh, I pressed the wrong one. Competitions, 3rd and 4th. Lost. Okay, so that's what we just looked at. Okay, quick look at this one. So again, Behan paints a picture. She starts with 5 full tubes of paint. She needs more paint for large areas of the picture than for small areas. When Behan is finished, the tubes look like this. Okay, so you can see lots of green used, fair bit of blue, not so much pink and yellow, and some brown. And they're at different levels. So then you're shown 4 pictures, and you have to figure out, well, which one of these was used, or which is the finished product, given the amount of color on each one. So basic things, yellow and pink, they're the same. Yellow and pink, not the same here. Yellow and pink, not the same here. Yellow and pink are the same here. Okay, so, and going back to the tubes, yellow and pink should be the same. So that kind of eliminates this one and this one, and it must be either this one the second one, or the fourth one? So looking back up again, brown is used a bit more than these. Green, okay, so the green one has been used a lot. Blue one, not as much. Okay, so that's going to be green one used a lot, blue not so much. And brown here is used more than pink or yellow. So it'll figure it out. Okay, looks like it's going to be that one. And it's already given me the answer up at the top. Answer correct. So that's a medium one. I'm going to keep on going for a minute and then I'll stop. This one is down as a hard one. So this is kind of a bit like Scratch in your syntonic reasoning, whatever. So you have these three and you have to drag them in. So the robot starts off here, goes here, comes here. Now this is where you start taking control and you can decide, does the robot go this way or does the robot go that way? Okay, and you fill them in. So I'm going to fill these in without a huge amount of thought. I'm going that way. So that will bring me this way down over to here. Now at this point, am I going to go across this way and go up? Or I could point it up and then it'll stop. I may have gone wrong here. So let me just stick that in there. No, I can't. Sorry, I'm in the right place. Look at this. This is much too hard for me. Third and fourth class. Yeah, that's definitely wrong. That won't run at all. So when I click on save on this one, it's going to tell me I'm wrong. Answer incorrect. I'm going to leave it to people to play on this one themselves and decide.
I was going to say, that is the homework, John.
Yeah, there was a deliberate error.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Okay, so as an activity, I think this is really good. It's easy to set up all your students. And the fact that once you've set up the account, you can come in here and you can use it multiple times. You can tell them, okay, today we're going to concentrate on any particular one and just say, let's do 3 questions from, okay, I won't do that one because that's the actual real one. You know, so today let's do this one, this one, and this one. Just do 3 questions and then stop it, move on and do it. And you can do these, when you're doing the practice sessions, you can encourage them to do them in groups. They can do them online, or you can print them out and get the students to do them offline. It all works. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, John. Thanks a million. I mean, I'm a great fan. It has everything. And hopefully we'll have a few more people signing up with Tania. I guess you can all guess what's going to be next to who the last person on our list is, and I'll finish out after that. It is over to you, Shane, and I think you want to fire up a conversation.
Yeah, that's. I was having a look at.
John, were you on share?
How do I unshare?
Throw a brick at it. Where is unshare? Well, you see, I can see share. I'm guessing at the bottom. Would yours be unshare then? Bottom middle?
Should be red at the top, John.
All right.
Stop
okay.
share.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's got it.
That's it. Okay. Right.
Thanks,
You're on, Shane.
Okay, so what I was going to say is I looked at.
Yeah, go Shane.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Shane for us.
I don't think so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Super. Excellent stuff. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to just share a screen document, whatever it was going. Where did I go? Desktop, where am I going? Listen, I don't need to share a document. All I was thinking was when it came down to it, we had the ICT conference in education in Thurles to be cancelled, had to be cancelled this year. And it occurred to me that a lot of people would have missed out on A, meeting up with friends, B, learning new things. And CESI is about learning new things, whether it's 1 thing, 2 things, 10, and sharing skill sets among people and sharing knowledge. And above all, you know something that I don't know, so you can tell me, but then I can tell somebody else, and it's a network. So what I wondered was, most of the stuff that I get told about, or the people I meet, or the people who come to me looking for skills, they say to me, look, I'm looking for a teacher to teach stop motion, or I'm looking for a teacher to organize film editing because we've got a load of footage and we don't know what to do with it. We're using iPads, and what can you do? And I wondered, would it be possible, because we had to cancel the ICT in education because A, people weren't getting value for money, or B, they weren't seeing it worth their while, or whatever. Could we put together a database of teachers, a database of skill sets, or a database of people who can deliver courses all over the country? And so therefore you don't have to go and say, who do I know that can do that? You can go straight to the CESI website and say, there's a bundle of people who can do this. And the person closest to me is in Wexford, or is in Clare, or whatever. And I'll get in touch with them. And they'll say, no, no, the nearest person to you is X. Get in touch with them. They'd be happy to help you out. And I just think it's a great way forward for CESI. And it means that we're promoting ourselves and the skill sets rather than depending on handouts. And if we're going back to simplicity, word of mouth should have a place where we can put notices up.
Interesting. How do you marry then the commercial versus non-commercial versus,
I
that
thought about
it's
it.
very nuanced, and some people do it
Yeah,
for
well,
the education center model, but others do it as a business.
absolutely, absolutely. And like, there's some people who are going to do it as a business, and some people are going to do it from the educational point of view as well. What I see is that the teachers don't know the difference. Usually what will happen is you'll get approached by people in a creative cluster who have, we'll say, 300 quid, and they want to get somebody to do stop motion. Or they have somebody with no expertise and they want an introduction to stop motion, and they don't mind doing it as a Zoom link. But either way, the number of people in Sesame that have huge skills. Every time I log on and join a meeting, there's a million and one people with a million and one brilliant ideas. And it's the same people coming back to the CESI meets the whole time. Ergo, there's a core of people who are willing to give of their time and their resources and their skill sets, and get paid for it sometimes, get not paid for it sometimes, but ultimately further the skills among the population, both in teachers and students.
Anybody want to shout in on that? I'm looking at maybe not the non-present people who haven't been presenting, but Donal lurking.
I was going to say, from a higher ed perspective, I think sometimes we kind of do, and having my teacher hat on, and it's not that long ago, we're almost better at that networking and kind of putting ourselves out there and maintaining a portfolio and a presence that, like, I'm lucky when something comes up around something that I'm, connected to in some way, someone will reach out, and Francis, you can probably back me up on this and say, hey, can you do that talk or that guest lecture or this thing or that thing? And it is probably something that's missing. And it's as you know yourself, Shane, it's fine line for us where the commercial bit, or the corporate bit does kind of, the business bit creeps in, but maybe that's something to kind of crowdsource together for anyone that wants to opt in.
Well, even if we decided, and if that was the only thing that was going to be a stumbling block, you could say, okay, the following people do paid versions, and the following people do free versions or introductions, and you just limit what availability you have, because we can't all be everywhere at once. But certainly, from my point of view, if 10 teachers come to me and ask me to deliver something, some of them will have a 2 hour slot at a staff meeting, or they'll have a half a day with certain class groups, and some of them will have money and some of them won't. And in Tipperary, you go from shall we say, the very well-fed schools to the not so well-fed, and you're not going to charge the not so well-fed, are you?
In a way, it's something our education centres are meant to do. They're meant to be
Yes.
the repositories of. So maybe we'll talk to, it's not a techie. I know they've got another new um a new name maybe. There is a model, I can tell you there is a very good model that's gone a little bit dormant now, but about 10 years ago, Catherine Cronin started a directory of, it was
Yeah.
EdTech women. So it was women in our field who were willing to talk on the radio, give a course. You know, you could look up the directory and you could say, oh, there's Mags Amond, she'll do stuff like Chris Reina was just doing with young girls
Yeah.
or whatever. There's Kate Molloy, she'll do critical analysis of something else. So maybe like maybe we should talk to, I'm not sure how CESI in our look, in our open, we could start an open Google Doc and people could fill in voluntarily what they were willing
Sure.
to do. Let's leave it with us, Shane, to talk about it. I think you may have, you may have touched something, and
It levels the playing field a little bit in terms of
yeah,
what you're talking about, a 2-hour training session that somehow, someone's
geographically,
geographically,
thematically,
or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
even price wise, there's that kind of, that cost element that there's someone that's has expertise that might do this, once off for pro bono, and someone else
Yeah.
is charging 600
certainly
for it.
certainly would get a lot of hits. And actually, now that you've said it, can I just say, because we have Chris Reina in the room, can I just put it on the record that we were all very sad to see ICT EDU, retired for this year, because it has brought us huge advancement from the day it started. It worked outside the box. And Pam O'Brien is not here, so in her absence, can we just please take the unofficial minutes that were given her? Thanks, and Chris will bring that message back to her, because I think it was our third CESI Teach Meet took place the night before an ICT EDU. She was the third person to say, come and join our unconference, please. I mean, arms were always open. So yeah, Shane, I don't mean leave it with us. Stay with us on this.
Sure.
Let's have
It's
a
a
think about
symptom,
it.
but it's also a symptom of the current context. Like if you go back to, on earlier SASI cons and
Mm,
ICT, ED, like we were probably all keeping Twitter lists. Like that's the only reason I still have the account open. I had lists of, higher ed tech open
yeah,
that, you have this, kind of an old, what seemed like a high tech version at the time of a Rolodex of people you could DM about
Yeah.
something. And I think, at least for me, I'm missing that. So having a kind of compendium wouldn't be the worst thing. Like even the Irish teacher blogs thing that Nigel did years ago, or
yeah.
just
Yeah.
some sort of
Yeah, I think like Shane, I know Shane and I had a minor discussion around it previously after the conference didn't happen, the ICT Edu conference didn't happen. And I think like there's different strands to it. I mean, the CESI list, I threw it into the chat there. I think like the CESI list as it stands right now is one of those sources that is already halfway there as a thing, in the same way that, there could be another list. I mean, there's the CESI list proper, and then there's obviously CESI CS as well. There could relatively easily, that's dangerous words, I know, but another list be maintained. And I think just for me, it's more about pooling resources. So like, look, I hands up, I'm not a teacher, I have a business and that's how I make money. However, it's foolish. I always feel that it's completely foolish for me to travel to Dublin to give a workshop on something for one school. It's absurd. And I always say, look, in your local geographic area, could you get 3 or 4 schools together? I won't charge you any more than that. It's the same thing. Like, and I know for Science Week, I did a number of workshops, one particular school in Dundalk, whereby they come back to me every year because I charge them a really small fee. But as I said, it's just a Zoom. every single one of your classes can join. And for them, it's incredibly cost effective. Do you know? So if we can pool those resources together and say, as Shane says, look, I'll be happy to do an animation thing. Let's go online from 7 to 9 of an evening, and anybody can join. And cost is a separate issue, but but that way people can do stuff like that. Sorry, Mags, you're putting your hand up for your conference.
I'm jumping in with the 3-minute warning because we did start on time. We will finish on time. And I just want to say, I put something in the chat. I want you to open it later on because I think we need to rewild the TeachMeet. We need to have more face-to-face small TeachMeets around the country with the 20 teachers in Kerry with Chris, Shane with another 15 somewhere else, different nights, in a pub, very quietly, and a little bit of the face-to-face. We need to do a better recovery from COVID. This is wonderful. And thank you all. Thank all 20 of you who've come in tonight. Apologies from Irene Stone. She signed up for a TeachMeet she thought was next Thursday night. So we'll get her. Irene's research we all need to see in detail. We will get her for a CESI Open Cafe. I know the people who weren't presenting have been very patient and very quiet. I hope you've had a good evening. I wasn't able to scribble down tonight, but I have at least 7 new links here. But when you open my 1-page document that's from 2022, when I finished, looking over the years at CESI Meet, there's a little round thing on the side, on the right-hand side in a magnifying glass. Really, all you need is someone like the me or the John Heffernan or the Shane Egan or the Chris Reina, or I'm looking at the Francis O'Donnell, Helen O'Kelly up there in the big smoke. You need someone who'll do the call people together Thursday night, 7 o'clock, such and such a pub. You need very short presentations, fabulous ones as we've had tonight, just that spragu of inspiration to go away with something for Monday. And then this what we have here, this kind of open space, free for all, bring a discussion, bring a challenge, bring a story, bring something from primary, bring something from higher ed, and have that mix across. Have that mix. Oh, lovely. This is what I want to see. John Heffernan cozying up to Dermot. Will we have one in Mayo? Yes. Result. I'm happy girl.
It doesn't always have to be a CESI show. We don't always have to.
It doesn't have to be a CESI one. It has to be, can be an any TeachMeet. But I'm happy now. I can leave. I can leave the building happy. I go to Mayo for a TeachMeet. So listen, thanks everyone. Nighty night. Kate, we might hang on a minute. You see,